Hi, this is Nanette Hosenfeld with Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Saturday, June 12th, 2021. Looking at fire potential impacts over the next few days. Today, there are no significant impacts on the map. That changes pretty quickly moving into Sunday. On Sunday, as high pressure builds, we are looking at near record heat again across much of the Great Basin with relative humidities in that 4 to 10% range. So really hot and dry beginning on Sunday and moving into next week. There's also wind concern starting on Sunday and continuing into Monday with wind gusts in the 30 to 40 mile an hour range and really low relative humidities. Elsewhere across the Great Basin, we will see wind gusts in the 25 to 35 mile an hour range, but relative humidities should be just above that critical threshold. Over the past 24 hours, there was really not much in the way of precipitation and no lightning across the area. Not a lot of new fires on the map, however, we do have some existing large fires across the area. It's been really quite dry across the area over the past 30 and 60 days. That image on the left really points out how dry it's been. There's some portions of southwestern Idaho and northern Nevada that have near normal precipitation, but elsewhere incredibly dry. Taking a look at the ERC's really impressively high numbers across the southern part of the Great Basin. You can see much of Utah into the Arizona Strip and southern Nevada are all above the 90th percentile, with some stations now moving into that above 97th percentile range. So really exceptionally high ERCs for June. Further north, you can see those arrows pointing downwards, and that is due to the cold front we had that moved through and dropped temperatures across the north. Satellite this morning shows mostly clear skies across the area, just a band of clouds moving across Idaho. For today, we do have really dry air in place across the Great Basin, nothing highlighted on our significant fire potential map. If we look at the forecast in more detail, you can see incredibly low relative humidities across much of the area, and fortunately today wind speeds will generally be light. If we look at the temperature forecast for today, about 5 to 10 degrees above normal across the Great Basin. As far as temperatures, that's going to change pretty quickly moving into tomorrow with high pressure building. If you look at that upper level pattern, that's the map on the left. You can see high pressure in place across the eastern part of the Great Basin in very dry conditions. That low pressure system off the Pacific Northwest coast is kind of sandwiching us between this area of high and low pressure, and that will result in pretty gusty winds across portions of the Great Basin today. On our significant fire potential map, all of Utah is highlighted for either wind or hot and dry conditions. Also looking at those winds into eastern Nevada and into the Arizona Strip. If you look at that in more detail, the image on the left shows where those wind speeds are expected to be most elevated. You can see pretty wide area of gusty winds across western Utah into Nevada and the Arizona Strip with really low relative humidities, large area of single-digit relative humidities expected on Sunday. Temperatures really begin to heat up on Sunday, up to 100 degrees across many locations. And by Sunday, looking at temperatures in that 15 to 20 degree above normal range. As we move into Monday, still have that high pressure in place across about the eastern half of the area. That will lead to a continuation of that warming and drying trend. With that low pressure system over the eastern Pacific, we will continue to see gusty winds. On Monday, again, we have a pretty large portion of the Great Basin highlighted for either that wind or hot and dry threat. Looking at that in more detail, those gusty winds are expected to impact much of Nevada into western Utah, and that's quite concerning with the incredibly dry conditions. In addition to the wind and the dry conditions, also expecting abnormally high temperatures, close to record-setting temperatures by Monday. Much of the area 20 to 25 degrees above normal, so really hot by Monday. Over the next 3 days, really no precipitation is expected across the Great Basin. So moving to Tuesday, that upper level weather system begins to move off to the east, continuing to get hot and dry across the Great Basin with that high pressure in place, and another day of high risk out for the hot and dry conditions across Utah, the Arizona Strip, and southern Nevada. Moving into Wednesday, we start to see moisture increase across the area as that moisture wraps around the ridge and into the central and southern portion of the Great Basin. Still continuing to be quite hot and dry into Wednesday with a high pressure overhead. And then by Thursday, you can see across the southern part of the Great Basin, we have a high risk out for lightning. It's quite concerning that there is a potential for lightning after such a prolonged hot and dry period. Again, 6 days, five or 6 days in advance. I'm sure the details will change as far as the exact location and timing of this moisture, but definitely need to be aware of the potential for lightning across the southern part of the Great Basin towards the end of next week. And that risk continues into Friday with that moisture increasing across the area. The 7-day period, really looking quite dry. The exception to that would be any moisture we get towards the end of next week. In the 8 to 14-day period, the Climate Prediction Center is calling for above normal temperatures across the entire Great Basin. As far as precipitation, there is that area of above normal precipitation across the southern, across the southwest, and we'll continue to watch that and see how that evolves. That's it. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. Our information is on the screen, and you can also find us on Twitter. Thanks.